Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be starting a brand new campaign, and we're going to be doing a Skaven campaign using the Steel Faith Overhaul mod, so the SFO mod. So special thanks to Ian for the generous donation for this campaign. And we're going to be playing as
Queek. Preserve this world.
Now, Ian wanted me to pay special attention to how to use kind of the relatively new Undercity system. And I haven't got to do that yet with Steel Faith. I did try out the old test run of this Queek campaign here, so I've kind of got some of the new mechanics. But if you haven't ever tried out the SFO mod, it's fantastic. It completely refreshes the game. There are tons and tons of different stats they've changed, units they've added, landmark buildings. There's all sorts of stuff in there that's really, really cool. So go back and check it out. I'm really happy to do another Queek campaign. Skaven is my favorite faction. I've not been shy about that over the years. They're just so unique and so fun compared to, I mean, pretty much all the factions are really awesome, but I just think that their specific combination of things they can do is unique and fun. Also, Queek is one that I keep going back to. I've done probably 3 Queek campaigns, 2 or 3 before. And he's just really cool. He has a very hard start position, so that's kind of nice. A little bit of a challenge early on. And he races for Carrick 8 Peaks. I think the 8 Peaks factions are really fun because it just gives you like this goal that you're working towards, this concrete sort of mid-game goal, instead of just wandering around killing whatever. I think that's pretty fun. So anyways, let's go ahead here and talk about Queek. I will say if you're newer to Skaven, I would probably start off with Clan Scryer. I think this guy's the strongest. Overall. Now, I haven't seen how they may have nerfed some of this with SFO. I'm sure they probably did because this workshop is extremely powerful. The Doom Rocket is extremely powerful in the base game. I do have an Ikit Claw campaign as well on the channel, so be sure to check that out. I have an Ikit Claw, a Lord Skrulk, and at least 2 Queek campaigns on the channel over the last couple of years, so be sure to check that out. He's going to be your strongest one, I believe. Tretch is actually, I think Tretch might be one of the most difficult ones, just because his passives aren't that great. The melee attack is really good. You could get that to work, but like he doesn't get cost reduction on anything, and he gets minus diplomacy with other Skaven, so you can't confederate it as easily. So he's okay. But yeah, and then Lord Skrulk's pretty cool. He's down in the south. He does have a lot of growth, which is nice. Now, he has an upkeep, extra upkeep for a lot of your weapons team units, and that kind of sucks because those are some of the best units, I think, for Skaven. But you do get a discount on Plague Claw Catapults and Plague Monks. I don't think Plague Monks are that great. They have buffed them in SFO, but I just don't really like the Berserking kind of units that much with any faction most of the time. Like, you can use them as 1 or 2, you know, maybe to just flank a little bit if you want to use them instead of cavalry, but they're just not really good frontline units. Maybe if you have a lot of healing or something, or there's a lot of buffs where you can get extra armor or resistances on them or whatever, but I think in general, I'm not a big fan of them. But anyways, let's talk about Queek. Okay, so why is Queek awesome? Why is he one of my favorites? Well, like I said, I like kind of just trying to go for Carrick 8 Peaks, which is fun. He's a really good melee combatant, and he gets some perks which are very, very nice. He gets extra 10% campaign movement range. I think this is a new one. I don't think they used to give that in SFO. He has ambush success chance plus 25%. It's really good. Skaven can always ambush whenever they're attacking, so you want that percentage as high as possible. You always want to ambush as Skaven, not only because it's good, but you're kind of balanced around that because your units in general are going to be a lot weaker than opposing faction units if you're just facing up 20 versus 20. So you have to use your ingenuity to take them down, and ambush is part of that. Then you get a lot of bonuses to Clan Rats, so everybody gets +2 ranks on Clan Rats, and then he gets 25% discount on Clan Rats and Storm Bourbon. So that's kind of your early game frontline infantry and then your late game infantry as well. So he's got a nice transition in the later game. And you get menace from below, which is mostly useful in the early game, but it's pretty good later as well. And he personally gets some extra bonuses when he fights Greenskins and Dwarves, which you're going to be fighting a lot of that early on. So, good lord. Okay. He is a good lord, I should say. Not good lord like, wow, he's so powerful, but he is a good lord. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here. So legendary, very hard, of course. Let's do it. And I'll be going through. I'm going to try during the in-turn screen to talk as much as I can about sort of the unique traits about Skaven and sort of the strategies we're going to be going for. Obviously, we want to go for Carrick 8 Peaks early. I like to try to go to the right. Anytime you can get close to a corner of a map on any sort of strategic game, if you can close off the different angles of attack, right, it's going to be really good, because then you're not going to get backdoored. So we're probably going to try to work our way to the southeast and see if we can knock out kind of the lizardmen in that area, and then take out the dwarfs around the mountains, and try to go for just Lamia and that type of stuff, and then we'll crawl our way up through the mountains from there. So that way we're really only going to have one major choke point, too, I guess, where they could backdoor us, which would be very far down south in the mountains, or near our capital, if the Tomb Kings decide to come for us. It's not a guarantee that they will.
Blessings of filth to you, Queek.
Okay. So let's get some of these systems going here. So yeah, we want to go like around here. Try to knock all this stuff out, just because as of Warhammer 2, this is the edge of the world. Now in Warhammer 3, I'm almost 100% this is going to be where a lot of the Warhammer 3 stuff takes place, is over here. And there might even be some like over here. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool if the world was round. They haven't introduced that, but like if you went across a little sea here and it ended up being over in Lustria, that would be awesome. That would open up so much stuff, because then you could also go down south and like end up over here. Like, because as of right now, it takes so long. If I want to go here and for some reason I wanted to fight Dark Elves or whatever, I want to like confederate with Tretch or something, you know, it's going to take a million years. Like almost literally running, it would probably take you 30 turns to run from here over to here. Like, it's just, it's insanely large. Or, I mean, I guess they wouldn't do like teleporters or anything, but just adding in maybe more campaign movement range. But I think having either a flat Earth or just like, or a round Earth, or you just go past one part and like teleports you to the other side. I don't know. I think that would be a cool thing. Okay, let's talk about this Undercity. Now, one thing they do start you with is they give you an Undercity at Carrick 8 Peaks, which is pretty nice to start with. Now, they give you a Tier 5 under Keep, which gives you extra campaign movement range, leadership. Now, when it says local armies, that means that it's just armies in that specific little region, not the province, I don't believe. So when it says local, that's not province. It'll say province-wide, if it's province-wide. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this, actually. It's worth a decent little chunk of cash early, 3,000. And the main reason is I just think we're not going to be up there for a long time, and there's just a better use. You have this stat called Discoverability there, which has a little bar. And if this bar reaches their perception, or whatever it's called, then they'll kill your Undercity. So there are certain buildings they can get which increase their perception to detect that, and then if they have certain heroes and things like that, those can also detect Undercity stuff. So you gotta be really careful. You don't ever want to push it too much. I think the little the buildings give like 30 or 40. It depends on the faction. This town doesn't have one of those buildings, so you can press this to see their buildings and then go back. But there's like a little flaming thing usually that like lowers corruption and increases perception or detection or whatever it's called. I don't remember what the exact thing is. We can look at the city, our city here in a second and see. But anyways, yes, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that just because it's costing us 50 perception, and I think that we could do better than that. So we get 3,000 gold there. Now, some of the other options that we have the Underway Nexus, which gives you Lightning Strike, which is not a big deal because we're going to be able to ambush everything probably, which is even better than Lightning Strike because they can't run from it. Campaign movement range again, hero success chance. That's okay if you really want to make sure you're going to be able to, you know, assassinate things or crack walls or whatever. Usually, you're going to have a high percentage to get that done anyways. So yeah, this is pretty weak. Now, it does give you plus 200% sack bonus, which is pretty huge. So building this entire thing up, it'd be what, 3,000, 6,000, 15,000. So it'd have to be a pretty big sack. So the sack would have to be worth like 10,000 gold. You'd get 200% more for that sack. So that'd give you like 20,000 gold. So, you know, if they have like an 8,000 gold sack, you'd get an extra 16,000 gold. So that might be worth at the end of the day, especially if you're going to multi-sack it. for several turns. You could make some money off of that. So I could see that in theory if you don't want to own a property, but it's really big and you just want to sack it a couple of times. But this would take 9, 10, or like 12, like 15 turns to build this up. So very circumstantial. Maybe sometimes you get it. Now you'll notice they got rid of the one, the Undercity from, and I'm just spending a decent chunk of time early on talking about this because I know this is specifically what Ian wanted. Now this costs 5 food. It has 140 discoverability, you'll notice. So that's way over the 100 cap. And you might say, well, how is that? Why would you do that? There are buildings that we'll talk about here in a second. I can just talk about them now. These lower your discoverability. So you would have to have this, which lowers it by 40. And you lose vision of the area. And you would have to have at least tier 1 of these, which would lower it by 20. So that would make your other one 100, or it would make it 80 instead of 140. But if they have any detection, it's still going to get detected. So then you would have to get this as well, just to make sure that it's not going to get detected. That would bring it down to 40 discoverability. So that means you'd have to pay an additional 9,000 gold, and you'd have to wait maintenance 300 gold per turn for the 10 turns that it takes to do the Vermintide. So that would be an additional 3,000 gold. So you're looking at 12,000 gold right there to build that, in addition to the 1,000 here and the 7,500 there. So you're looking at about 20,000, like 20,500 and change. And this will spawn a Skaven army here. And how strong that army is depends on the kinds of technologies that you get. And we'll talk about techs here in a little bit. I want to make sure we get into a fight this episode also, but it's very expensive. You know, it's 20,000 gold. It requires a lot of prep. And the army that you get is not going to be worth 20,000 gold, especially early on. It's going to be a bunch of clan rats, maybe some other units. I don't even think it gives you 20 units. I'm not sure. I haven't spawned one in the other campaign. But I really don't think it's worth most of the time in the early game. Now, very, very late game, we're not going to go over all the text right now, but there is one in particular, this one. All of your Vermintide become Storm Vermin. That might be worth it, depending on how many you get. If you're getting, like, 15 Storm Vermin or something, like, instant somewhere, then that actually might be worth. But for the most part, probably not going to be worth. As I alluded to a second ago, they got rid of the nuke. And I think that's a good idea because it was so difficult to balance that. So in the baseline game, you can build, I forgot what all the parameters are of it. I don't even think it was worth it then, but you could like completely nuke a city. It would just blow up and any army in it would die. So you could put that in a really pesky city. And I think it took like 20 turns to set up and it was really expensive. It was something like 15 to 20,000 gold also. But it was just kind of cheesy. Like you could just completely blow out, you know, one of these like dwarfs or high elves that has like a super expensive army that's sitting in a tier 5 town that's tough to siege. So I never liked to use that. It was just kind of cheesy. So I'm kind of glad they got rid of it, but I don't think it was that good to begin with because then you don't get the money for sacking it. But anyways, okay, this for discoverability. If you want more buildings, we talked about those. The food one's okay. It kind of depends on like how strapped you are for food. Now, a lot of stuff does cost food in this game. There's a lot more to do with food, and we'll talk about food more here in a second. But I think that this one's probably worth, it's only 20 discoverability, gives you 2 food. It's pretty nice. You always want to try to get to high food as much as you can because that gives you so many things, right? Like you get extra recruitment capacity, constant casualty replenishment rate, public order, upkeep reduction, leadership, growth, just all this good stuff if you're max food. And you can use food to do things like have more minutes from belows in fights if you get into some tough fights. So I think that's really good. Conversely, if you have bad food, it gives you a bunch of negative effects. So each town is going to cost you more and more food, and then certain buildings in towns cost you more and more food. So I think food is eventually a really good resource that you want to invest in. So I would probably pick up food in most of these if you can. Okay, what else? So we'll grab a food one. This is another one that I think is pretty standard that you should get, the warp token stash. Now, they may have nerfed this from the base game, too. I don't remember the exact numbers in the base game. But I just really wouldn't even play the base game, honestly, at this point. Unless it's like a brand new DLC comes out and SFO Mod doesn't have it. then maybe I play the base game, but SFO is just so much better, I wouldn't ever go back. Now, you can so for 1,000 gold, this is a pretty good deal. It builds in 1 turn, and it basically pays for itself in like 6 turns, 7 turns. So that's a really, really good bargain. Usually when I'm thinking about bargains, I'm thinking, does this pay for itself within 15 turns? If it does, it's a really good bargain. If it's later than that, if it's like 20 to 25 turns to pay for itself, it's like kind of drops down a little bit in priority. There might be something better you could do with your money. With some factions, depending on your financial situations, it's okay to invest in stuff that takes 20 to 25 turns, but it's a lot tougher. So this right here, you're paying 3,000 for an extra 150. So it would take 20 turns. In addition to taking 3 turns to build, it would take 23 turns to pay for itself. So that's a lot dicier, but the tier 1 is really good. This also adds another 20 discoverability and costs 1 more food. So it's basically like you're paying triple the amount to get the same thing. Okay, we'll go ahead and get that. But it's very slot efficient. You don't need another town. So that's just the price of progress. So I like that one. Now this one is interesting. Now, it's important to note that this says, I believe, local settlements income up to 50%, not province, not entire province, just the local settlement, okay? So it's not as insane, like there are some, you know, like dark elf or high elf, like settlements or provinces that, you know, might be making 4,000 gold a turn, or Mazda Mundi. You're not going to be able to get 2,000 gold with that, okay? It's just the main capital. So there are some that will make good money, but just be aware that that's local, not province-wide. When I first read it, I thought it was province-wide. So this is okay if the town's making, you know, about 1,000 gold from a single settlement, then it's pretty good, because that would match this, be like the same thing. But if it's less than that, you want to go with this most of the time. So like this can be good situationally if it's a rich town, but most of the time you know, you don't want to go for that. I'd just rather prefer the flat rate money. This is usually going to be better, especially in smaller towns that aren't going to be as developed. Okay, and the purple one's where you start to get some interesting things here. Now, I personally really like getting this one most of the time. You have a 5% chance to spread an under empire to an adjacent region. So that means roughly every 20 turns, you're going to get a free under empire, which is really good. Basically, it's your under empire. You can do a right to expand this out. I think it's up every 20 turns. Then there's a 20 turn cooldown, I believe, on your heroes doing it as well. So this basically doubles the amount of underways that you want. So it's really good. It pays for itself over time. I would get this most of the time, especially if you're not going to take the place for 20 turns. I would get it. Now that's an important consideration, is if you do take the town, then you lose all of your Undercity stuff. So that's why I think it needs to be good money value on those things. And it takes 4 turns to build too, so it's really like 24 turns to get an extra one. So like I said, that one's a little dicier, but I'm not going to be there in 20 turns. Like I said, my strategy is going to be to try to like get all of this so we don't get backdoored by anything and then push our way forward. So we're not going to get Karakate Peaks probably for the first 40 turns or something at least. So I think that's a good bargain. Other options here for late game. Actually, I can cancel this just so we can see his other options. You can double up on it. Now, that's actually not that bad of a deal. It does cost more, but like being able to spread it even faster to a distant place can actually be pretty good. So like if we can get one of these up here, you know, the perfect place is over here on Ulthuan, because there's a lot of rich places over there, and we're not going to be there for a million years. But it's going to take your hero, like, forever to run over there. But yeah, if you can put that in Ulthuan or, like, up here in the Empire somewhere, then upgrading it could be pretty good. But yeah, you want to, like, put that in a place that you're not going to take over for a long time, just so that you get a lot of benefit out of it. The other ones, this one can be really good late game. It gives you extra winds of magic. Now, it does cost money, so you need to start to be pretty rich if you want to put these up. But you get extra recruit ranks, which are really nice. If you can get those weapons teams up to rank 7, you get the bonuses for them, which is really good. So if you can get like 7 of these, you know, in the late game, That's going to be really handy, and it reduces the upkeep by 3% on all of them. So getting a 20% upkeep reduction would also be pretty huge. You also get extra research rate, which can be very handy, and you get Winds of Magic. So this is really, really good in the mid to late game. But I wouldn't get it early game just because money's so important. And then the final one, I haven't tried this. This is interesting. You get 300% for raising a town. You also get construction costs for all buildings. Now, if you do raise the town, I believe it gets rid of it. I think it gets rid of the strip mine. It might not. If you burn it, it might still like keep it there in the ruins. But I think it gets rid of it. I'm not 100%. I haven't tried it, so I don't know for sure. Yeah, 300%. Usually your raise bonuses are not as much, though. I'm not even sure if you can get multiple of the same type of thing. Okay, so okay, so I think they limited it. I don't believe... I thought in the base game you could get both money buildings. But it looks like you have to choose a money building. Maybe I was wrong about that. You can only have one of each type of building. Okay. So, yeah, late game, you know, if you're... Now, this takes a lot less prep than the sack one. The sack one over here, the 200% sacking takes, you know, whatever, 15 turns to set up, and wasn't it like, it was like 15,000 gold, something like that. 3, 6, 10, yeah, 15,000 gold and 15 turns to set up. So this one is a little bit faster. If you know you're going to burn it anyways, that might be a decent option. It's just 4 turns to build it, and it only costs 4,000 gold. So if you were going to burn it, and it was going to burn for like 2,000 gold or whatever, then now you would get 8,000. Sorry, math is hard sometimes. It's 300%, and you still get your base amount. Now, once again, that's only that one building. It's not the entire province. But yeah, if you're just going to strip it, you know, paying 4,000, if you're getting more than 4,000 gold, it might be worth it. Keep in mind that you do have to colonize if it's a burned area. So, it's decent. It does pay you money while you're waiting, too. I mean, 100 a turn. So, maybe you set this up on a place where, you know, you're going to want to burn it anyways at some point, and it just passively gives you some income. So, like, once again, very situational, but there might be some places where you'd want to do that. We're going to go with this one. Okay, so hopefully that breaks down the underway a little bit. So if you're not sure, just go for Warp Token Stash, Subterranean Pit, and Scavenger Raiders. I would pretty much always go for Warp Stash, like, no matter what. Highly consider going for Scavenger Raiders because it's so cheap. It's just 1,000 gold and gives you a good chunk of food, unless you're just, like, swimming in food late game. And then the Subterranean Pit I would highly recommend if you're not going to take the town for maybe 15 turns at least. You could get it. And then some of those other situational ones, if you just happen to have a thing there, you burn it, and you want to take the town. So I would recommend trying to set these up in places where you're not going to take them. You could go for the strip mine. I haven't tried that strategy yet if you want to use that and then get a little bit of extra money. But I think just the passive money that you get off of putting these in faraway towns outweighs the little bit amount you could do for, like, using the strip mine thing. Okay, let's go ahead and get into some fights here.
Need more trophies, yes.
Now, a thing with Queek is everybody's going to start at 1 loyalty, possibly even 0 loyalty, because you get -4 for all new recruits. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to turn on you right away. There's a very high chance they will, and you can just kill them if they do. But there are, like, different scenarios you can do to increase their loyalty. And we'll talk about that once we get in there. So they try to use the loyalty system a lot more over time. So I kind of want to just go ahead and start getting a Gracier. So let me go ahead and just hire a Gracier here. It's pretty cheap, and we can just, like, spam a bunch of units on him, just a bunch of Skaven slaves and things like that. And we'll go ahead and start leveling him up so that we can kind of spread out and start taking multiple territories. Usually I don't like getting multiple lords, but the Skaven lords are really cheap early. And, like, their units are super cheap. And our econ's pretty good. So, Warlock Masters, you definitely want to do that if you have the workshop. If you have Icket Claw. But I still think that Graciers are some of the best. Just because you really want magic, and in order to get your magic, you have to have a tier 4 town. which is rough up here. So it does give you 1 extra Plague Priest, so, you know, once we get this, we can get to 2 Plague Priests. But you also get a Screaming Bell on the Gracier, which is really nice, and you need these guys to damage walls. So if you damage walls, that means they're not going to be in your army early on, unless you want to wait an extra turn to siege, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of damaging the walls. So you need them for damaging walls, but you also want one in your army as well, just for the magic when you're actually fighting. So if you have the Gracier, you know, it just gives you a bit more freedom. And I don't think the combat wards, like, they're okay, but that's just not what Skaven are all about typically, is just trying to 1v1 the enemy ward. Like, you can do that, of course, and it's helpful, but usually you can just tie them up with just, like, some rats and then just kill everything else, and eventually they'll run away. But let's go ahead and hire, see if we can get a Gracier here. So I would never get the Warlord this day and age. I would get either the Warlock Master or the Gracier. Like I said, Warlock Master is very good. He's much better in combat. He gets some good mounts, and he does have, I think, a skill that lowers the upkeep on, like, Giselles, which are really important, and some other, like, weapons team units. But the Gracier gets the magic early on, and he eventually gets Screaming Bell, which is a really nice buff for your team. I think it's like a bunch of leadership. I'm fine with melee defense. That's not one of the best ones out there, and you want Plague. The Plague magic's way better. We'll talk about that later. I want to make sure we get into a fight, though. Ruin magic's okay, but you're gonna have engineers. You're gonna have Warplock engineers that'll have a lot of that magic. Okay. Strong legs. Alright, so we're gonna recruit him.
Harbinger of doom.
So we're gonna throw him in here, and then we're just gonna grab a bunch of slaves.
All hail, horned rat.
And then we're just gonna get growth. We'll talk about the buildings here in a second. Gonna try to get the growth, and then I'm gonna actually get rid of the if you take off the taxing in Steel Faith, you get extra public order, or it removes 10 of your public order penalty, which is really nice for legendary. And then you also get a lot of extra growth, so the taxes not being there gives you 50 extra growth. So that can help you tech up to tier 3 really quickly. Obviously, you're not getting any money in your town, but it does allow you to grow up, and a lot of factions, you know, have that set up for you. You should definitely be able to take this straight up with Queek without any other problems. Okay.
Priest King of greatest dynasty.
Yeah, they're not gonna like us that much. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it as far as rights go. We hired everything.
Stench of others.
Okay. So what we want to be going for, and I'll show you here in a second, you know, as we get a fight in, there's a lot of unique strategic things that go on with the Skaven. As you can probably tell, like, you've got the Undercity, you have the corruption system is very unique. So the Skaven corruption, basically, you want to try to balance it out according to what you need in a town. The more corruption that you have, the more menace from below you can hire, but it also hurts your public order. So if you have a clean area, if there's not much corruption, then you get up to, I think, +8 public order, which is really handy, but you're not going to get hardly any menace from below. So in menace from below, if you haven't seen it, it's basically you get to spawn clan rats in a fight anywhere you want, anytime. So it's obviously super good to have a lot of menace from below. Now, Queek does come with 2 for free. Yeah, having a lot of those are very nice. You get to use one every 45 seconds. So, you know, you can churn through at least 6 in most battles, and some battles you might be able to do more. Okay, so we're going to do only faction-wide caps. Basically, we'll talk about that here in a second, but pretty much that just means that you can only have so many of certain types of units depending on how many building types you have of that. So basically you're capped. It's basically like the Tomb Kings, right? Where you only can get a certain amount of units based on the corresponding buildings. if you do faction-wide and army caps, that means you can only have so many of certain, like, power levels of units. You can only have, like, 2 rare units, like your super elite units, like your Hell Pit Abominations, 2 in an army, period, no matter what. Where this comes into being a problem is with the elite units, where you can only have 4 of them. There are so many things with most factions that usually count as elite units. It would severely limit the amount of... You can only have 4 total of probably, like, all of the weapons teams. And then that would also overlap, perhaps, with the Storm Vermin. That might also limit Storm Vermin or your Death Runners. Like, all of those might be considered elite. Storm Vermin might be considered special, which means you could have 6 of them. But anyways, it's okay. I've tried that in past campaigns, but I just like the faction-only caps. I think that's hard enough. That's fun. Fine.
Plan scheme is discordant.
So this dude defected
No,
because he had 0
Gracie,
loyalty.
never
So we can just go over here, pop him real quick.
Slice and
Now, you might say, well, that sucks. You just bought that guy. It's like, well, yeah, sort of,
Enslave.
but
Queek, master owner.
he wasn't that great to begin with. He was okay. But, and he's not giving me that much money for beating him, but it does allow me to level up Queek because I kill him. So, yeah, you know, I don't like gaming the system and just sitting there like multi-sacking towns and stuff like that, but that's just the price of progress. Is sometimes they'll defect on you, but you do get extra skills off of them doing that. It's like a rebellion too. I'm pretty sure you need to kill it like right away or it's gonna start spreading.
Time for things to die.
You feeling better, Rory? There we go. So we actually earned 1,000 gold. So he cost 800 to hire. He defected. We get 1,000 gold for killing him, and we gain 2 levels. So yeah, it's annoying if they defect, but especially early on, you know, whatever, it's fine. Just level up a little bit. It does slow you down a pinch.
Queek always wins.
But as far as this stuff goes, I would probably do pack leader because we're just gonna get so many clan rats early on. I think pack leader's really good. Then after that, you can kind of feel it out. I think the Ancient Cunning, getting the 30% ambush, will put you pretty close to 100%. Now, some factions will have ambush reduction chance, so you really, it's not a bad thing to go over 100%. Just to make sure that even if they have some of that, they're still going down. So, like, this gives you 25. This gives you 30. He passively has 25%. So that's, what, 50? That's 80%. And then most terrain is also going to give you 45% base chance. That's like 125%. So like this right here, ambush defense chance 30%. So if someone had that, you'd still have a 95% chance to ambush them. So unless they like spec very specifically into anti-ambush stuff, you're probably going to get it with all of those skills. That's probably what I'd get second. Okay, let's see if we can get another Gracie here.
Victory!
If we keep him good, if he wants to run away, that's fine too. Okay, there's another plague. Intelligence. Okay, ambush to research chance is actually pretty decent. I mean, I'll take just about anybody to start with. Unless there's something insane with Ruin. I've tried the Ruin stuff. They've tried to balance it better. Like, they have nerfed out Plague a lot from the base game. But I still think it's the best. Alright, take 2. Now, the reason I'm hiring stuff with him is there's a couple of ways that you can increase loyalty, one of which is winning battles, hiring, giving them items, things like that. Now, if they defect, obviously you're going to like lose those items, so it's kind of risky, so I don't want to give him something good like Skaven Brew. But if I just have some trash stuff, like, this is okay, but it's not insane. We could try putting this on him. I think he defects at the beginning of the turn. We'll see. We can try putting an item on him, hiring a couple units, and usually you get like a little dilemma that'll help you out.
Thanks to me.
They did change around some of the text so that they're easier to access, so I think this one used to be you had to get to the storm vermin tree in the base game, like right here, but now they've made a lot of the tier 1 techs like tier 1 buildings you can get here, so it's a lot easier to start your technology up, so you don't feel like you have to do strategies where you like power rush and try to grab like an early Taskmaster platform or something like that. So that puts a lot less pressure on you early on in terms of your food, because before you had to really like, a lot of times you had to upgrade your town, which we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's go ahead and go. You have to upgrade your town like 1 extra tier when you first take it so that you could get the Taskmaster platform, so that you could actually get some research, like, so that you're not just wasting like 10 turns with no research early, which costs you a lot of food and can kind of slow down your progress. So I think that's pretty nice. They smooth that out. Now, like, the clan rats are so cheap with Queek also that that having you can afford to have 2 armies, I think, if you just use all of your Skaven slaves in an army and clan rats, and that can just help you out. It can help you level up another lord. It's not that expensive, and just gives you really big numbers, so you can just overpower garrisons. Like, some of these garrisons down here are going to have, like, 14 units in it, and they'll have, like, a lord sitting in there with an additional, like, 12 units or whatever. Okay, someone do rumors are false. I'm also not doing the turn destroyer this time. I have done that in a couple of my recent campaigns. But the reason I don't do that is with the SFO mod, it really messes with the Empire, because it will get rid of some of the minor factions of Empire, and it will trigger this event called, like, Empire in Ruins. And basically, they get all this negative public order and all this, like, crazy stuff going on, I think. I don't remember what all it is, but it's, like, a huge debuff. So basically, it kills Empire. Like, they all just get run over by Norska and Vampire Counts if you do that. Specifically on SFO because of how they have this Empire event covered. Okay. So these are up and running. I don't think we wanted another one here. Oh, it does still let us get hidey hole. Okay, so I was right. You can get 2 blue if you want. Hidey hole, I like it. But yeah, it's not worth yet because that town's not making that much money. It's great to put on like a gold mine town and stuff like that, obviously. How much money is that town making? Let me see. You gonna tell me? 2, yeah, not worth. Needs to be at least like 1,000 gold or so. These guys are massing up. All right, we survived a turn here.
A magic stick.
All right, let's try to roll over here now. Now, I do need to hire some more stuff with Queek here in a second, though, because these guys are going to roll up on us here in a minute.
All hail, horned rat.
Now, he might defect. I feel like I need a couple more. I'm kind of risking it with Queek, though, because this guy's going to come in soon. We're only able to hire 2 units right now because we are improving our public order, which will ultimately give us more growth and more tax rate. And we're trying to tech up to tier 3 ASAP so that we can get at least Plague Claw catapults. It's really nice if we can also get some Deathglow bombardiers. But Plague Claw catapults, 100% where you want to go early. They're just so strong, especially against dwarfs, which are going to be some of our early enemies. Yeah, let's try to make sure we get into a fight, and then I want to go to Scavenging Ruins so we get 10 armor. I think that's it, right? Yeah, we have 2 more turns on growth. We're getting 100 growth right now. As soon as we start getting more food, we got to start winning fights, and we'll start getting more food. That'll go up a little bit. But yeah, so the general strategy, like, you have a couple of options whenever you tech up, whenever you rush tier 3. With most factions, tier 3 is where you want to be. There's a lot of good stuff that comes out there. But yeah, the Plague Claw catapults are amazing. They're very cheap. They're like 220 gold or something a turn. They just completely annihilate long-range units. And they just softens people up so that when you come in close, you know, you just have a better chance of being able to kill them. They're great for sieges also. They can kill the towers. They can knock out doors. They can knock out walls. There's really good upgrades for them. So I think play call catapults, they're in the running for most cost efficient, like best artillery in the game. They're that good. Unless they've nerfed them more. I know they nerfed them a little bit for Steel Faith, but or for SFO Mod. I know Venerus likes us to call it SFO Mod because he and the other creator, Steel Faith, kind of split ways a while ago. See, they give you all these loyalty events, the price of treachery. It's so tempting. For all units. Now, I don't know if that's just in this army or all units, period. If it's all units, period, we might want it, but... I mean, if we have to kill the other guy, I'm fine with that. That'll give us just more stuff to kill. He might betray us. Okay, choosing yes. Alright, so Beastman will be showing up. I'm okay with that. Just adds a little bit of extra randomness. Yeah, he's at 0. Decent chance he might turn on us. Okay, so I don't think you can't disband him because he has 0 loyalty. So if your thing goes to 0 loyalty, there's a really good chance they're gonna like jump ship. So yeah, we're we might have someone else to kill in a couple of turns.
Need more trophies, yes.
But did I get extra? I did get extra melee attack. I mean, how are you gonna turn that deal down? 10 extra melee attack for 20 turns? Just to lose a little dinky tier 1 dude that I can just rehire? I mean, I want to murder him. Come on, bring him on. Okay, so let's go ahead and knock this out. Well, let me double check. I don't think it has a notable garrison. No. It'll probably make us fight it. Hi, Rory. What are you doing? Oh, you brought some food. Good job.
Kill, slay, maim.
Actually, okay, they're not going to make us fight it. Nice.
Gouger is ready.
So the other guys are going to come up, and we're going to fight them this episode. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to go down. Okay, so we got 15 food. They do a pretty... It feels like they give you more food with this mod, but there's more stuff that can cost you food also. It's interesting.
Send
I think the food
find
was a bit
treasure
more
warpstone.
draconian in the base game.
Take steel, make Queek rich.
I think we have enough to sack and occupy on this next turn.
Find
So that's pretty much
trinkets
what you
for
always
Tremors.
want to do with Queek. If you have the movement speed left to do it, yeah, we can. Because it's going to come in at tier 1 anyways. So unless it's like a port, I think you get a port for free. In port
I
towns.
win.
So unless it's a
Nothing to do with
port,
you.
I don't think that you want to... I mean, you always want to sack and occupy if you
gracious
can.
scum
Because it's going to
away.
force you to loot and occupy if you don't. So the town's always going to be tier 1. And you just end up getting more money out of it with the sack option. Okay.
More head skulls.
Okay, so we have the full valley here, and then we just want to go for the growth. Public order is going to be terrible. Whenever you take over a place, it's kind of frustrating, but you're going to have rebellions because you always have to loot and occupy. That option that I just kind of blipped through there really quick, you can spend food to upgrade your town. If you want to, every 20 food is one more upgrade. I wouldn't recommend doing that in most towns, especially early on as you're developing the town with how SFO Mod is right now, because if you take the tax off the province, you get an extra 50 growth, and it only costs you 1,600 gold to upgrade. So unless you're just like at the literally the maximum amount of food and you just have an overabundance, just a huge overflow of food, I wouldn't do the upgrade. I mean, if it's like if you really need it and like I don't know, you need a very specific reason to want, like you need a garrison there because you're about to get attacked, or you just have a ton of food, or you want to make that into some kind of like headquarters. It's got a gold pit and some other like landmark buildings. You know, it's got some really important stuff that you need to be tier 3. Maybe you need to hire some more like Plague Claw catapults really quickly or something like that. You know, maybe you could do it that way. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it most of the time. Okay, Queek. Now what are we going to do with our next two? I think it's just Root March or Cunning. There's also an argument for just going for Engineering skill early. It gives you 20% extra ammo for Plague Claw catapults, which are really good, and reload time. So it's basically 30%, 10% faster damage and 20% total damage if they get to empty their clip. Then it also gives you army for Doom Wheels, which are Doom Flayers, which are a really good tier 4 army. Doom Wheels aren't that great. I mean, we'll try them out again. Maybe they buffed them again, but historically they're not that great. Root Marcher, though. Root Marcher's really good. And Ancient Cunning is really good. So I think we're going to go with that. Doubles down on the movement. It'll give us 18% more movement. Which campaign movement is one of the best stats in the game. Okay, and then over here, I think we just double down on growth. Because we have enough stuff. Like, we don't need these techs right now. We don't really need the food. We're doing all right with food. Yeah, and it gives us extra campaign movement range. Because we're going to have to be zipping back and forth, like trying to catch rebellions. If this guy defects, which is looking probable, you know, we want to deal with that. So, because we have an extra town, every Skaven town, I believe, gives you 1 extra local recruitment capacity, right? Something's giving us a recruitment capacity. I'm just missing it. Food, construction slot. I don't know. Whatever it is, we can hire 1 more right now. Let's go ahead and do it.
Challenge me.
You can start recruiting a lot of rats. Once you get really good food growth and you get some techs, like, you can start recruiting like 9 units a turn or something in some of these towns. Like, it's really cool. It feels like you're fulfilling that fantasy of just like an overwhelming number of rats, which is pretty fun. We're not going to have a lot of friends as Skaven, so if you don't like politics, if you don't like what I'm trying to like carefully do some politics as High Elves or Empire, if you've watched some other campaigns, then, you know, you'll like this campaign, because we're not going to be doing a lot of politics. We're going to be murdering everybody. The only people we're going to do politics with probably are other Skaven. Now, we do need, like, at least 1 or 2 evil people we can do politics with, just so we can trade with them. So we, like, because you can get trade goods as Skaven. It's just everybody hates you, so it's hard to do business with them. But, you know, some of the evil factions, if you kill enough of somebody's enemies, they will like you. So even if they don't like Skaven to start with, if we murder everyone that they're at war with, then they like us. They're like, oh, they're killing all of our enemies. That's cool. That's one of the best ways to make friends in Total War, and unfortunately in life, is if you have a common enemy. Wish it wasn't that way, but realistically that's just how it is. If you have a common people you hate, it brings people together. Nice, extra 20 growth. Oh no, he defected. Yeah, so he still has those Skaven slaves. Okay, so we did lose the 1 recruitment. I'm not sure why it was giving us even the option for 2. Now, we're trying to keep our public order under wraps here, because as you go really negative with the public order, you get a rebellion, which is bad enough. But then also you get, it starts lowering your growth. You can get up to negative, I think, 75 growth if you're really negative. And it lowers your tax rate. I mean, tax rate doesn't matter as much early. We're not making any money doing this. But my main thing is I just want the maximum growth. So we're getting like 200 growth right now. And I want to try to, we can get to tier 3 really quickly. We might even be able to just like jump up to tier 4 super fast, which would be amazing. Because that's when you really start coming online. That's when you can get your weapons teams. These Giselles are amazing. We also get Warplock Engineer, which isn't like super good. Plague Priest, which is super good. Doom Flayers are very good. Skaven have some extremely good units at tier 4. And extremely fun units. And you can get the Death Runners if you want them. I don't usually get a lot of those, but maybe one of them's nice. They did actually buff the gutter slingers, which I'm really happy that now that you have an actual ranged like infantry you can use. These used to only be like 120 range or 130 range. They did like 19 damage or something. It was terrible. But now they do 31 and have 155 range. They're a lot more respectable. And they have 30% missile resist. They don't have shields though, but they can hold their own against other tier 1 archer type of units. The other archers will probably beat them, but like, you know, they have other stuff going for them. They can vanguard, they can stalk, they're fast. So I think that makes them a lot more competitive. Okay, anyways. All right, so we got that. We're cranking in our 200 growth here per turn.
Warlord,
All right, we should be able to hit this clown up. One thing that I really love about Skaven is with the ambush mechanic, not only do you get, like, to attack people like Lightning Strike, but they can't run. It's amazing. So now all those stupid factions that are constantly trying to backdoor you and like run around and play footsie with you in your territory, you don't have to spend 20 turns like wanting to rip your hair out because they're always able to run away just that one little pixel. They run away behind the river, or they run away like, you know, just somewhere. They're not getting away from Queek. He has a lot of movement speed, and if you ambush, they do not have a chance to retreat. At least not on your first attack. If you don't kill them all the way, they can retreat. But they can't normally retreat without fighting.
Battle fight, yes, yes!
It's glorious! You know, sometimes when you have to play these factions where you're just playing, you know, like I said, running around, Benny Hill style. It can be a little tricky.
Scurry away, things.
I pretty much always take the food, or always take the money, but I mean, maybe the food's worth.
Slaves work, then die.
Because I mean, it's literally 70 gold. It does
Release
lower our
slaves,
upkeep
pull
on our
back.
units, which are nice.
Run, thieves. Tell all Queek
How much
comes.
food? Wait, how close are we on the food? We're at 65%. I think that's 80%.
Swell the hordes of Moors.
Speed bonus is nice.
Enslave. Queek master owner.
Take that
Yes,
here.
yes, Mimi stronger. Keep Gracia scum away.
Alright, and then just ancient cunning.
Tell Nordwell of Queek's victory.
Yeah, so we don't really need any of these other buildings early. I know he gets the discount on Storm Vermin, but Storm Vermin really aren't worth it early on. These are just kind of like your meat units. Like, they don't do it, like, they're not going to get a ton of kills. They're okay, but, like, they only have, you know, like 40-40 on their stats. They're a little bit better than they were in the base game. I think they buffed them slightly. They do have 93 armor, which is good. Their leadership's still kind of low, but they only get +5 versus infantry. They do have 10% physical resist. They're all right. I mean, they're cheaper than a lot of other, like, sword infantry, but they're just not, like... You don't need meat shields early as Skaven because you have so many clan rats. Like, clan rats are the same thing. They just have a ton of HP, 15,000 HP. You can get all kinds of armor buffs for them. They can eventually get to 45 armor, you know, with Queek and all these upgrades we're going to get for them. They're just going to cost us, like, 70 gold or something instead of 300. So until you start facing higher level units where they're just going to mow over your clan rats and carve them up, then you have to substitute in the Storm Vermin eventually. But I think early on, you just don't need them. And it's expensive to get that building too. I used to get this sometimes just because it would allow you to get the spears. Like the spears and shield ones in the base game are by far the best. You just want those everywhere. But in this one, they're not even like that much better than the normal ones, right? Because these have 25-19, so that's 44 combined melee attack and defense, and these only have 45 combined melee attack and defense. Now they do have +12 versus large, which is nice, and they do have 28 armor, so they have 3 more armor. 26 weapon strength versus 23 though, and these have only 6 charge bonus versus these have 14. So it's like, it's pretty much a toss-up. Like, yes, these are going to be better against range, like archers and things, but archers usually aren't a problem. You just spawn a bunch of clan rats on them. And, you know, I just feel like it's not worth, especially in this capital, which kind of sucks because it's only an 8-slot town and you get very, very few building slots. You just don't have room, and Clan Moors takes up one of those slots, and you have to have Clan Moors. I mean, it's super good. Obviously, you want the Clan Moors building. So yeah, you only have one slot, and I think just getting the growth building, and then eventually selling the growth building once you get to tier 4, and just getting these two is kind of what you have to have. And it's only a two slot province too, so.
Queek always wins.
Anyways, okay, we'll hire those. We'll see if we can get another Gracier here. Slave Master. 10 melee defense for Skaven slaves is not terrible. -1 public order. We could wait and see if we get something better than that. I mean, killing that dude's actually giving us money. So these guys have so many units right now. They have like 19 units, and then their garrison gives them an extra, what, like 10? So they have 29 units. I'm only gonna have 17. So that's why I'm saying, like, having an extra lord, if it's pretty cheap, can be good. Especially if they actually let me keep him, and I can just get one level on him, and just get one spell where I can spawn the rats. That's all I need, man. Just give me one spell.
Stench of others too strong.
Okay. Or fleet-footed. The defense on the slaves could actually be pretty relevant.
Horned rats notice me.
Address me as Lord.
I'm still gonna hire with him. This guy might defect. We'll just kill him and get another one if he does. I'm not trying to game the system. I actually want one of these guys. They just keep defecting. So we can try giving him a unit. I mean, there's no way I could turn down the extra, like, melee attacks for 20 turns. Like, there's no way. Okay. What do we unlock here? Okay, so we need Scheme of Doom. Will allow us to get another Undercity, which is good. This gives us growth, public order, and minus construction costs, but that's just too much gold right now. Later on, especially if you really need the food, that can be useful, but we're in an okay place with that. All right, let's go. So I swear we're going to get a fight. It's taking a little bit longer than I expected. We're just powering up that growth, though, man. Want to get to those tier 4 units. But yeah, that's kind of the challenge of Queek. They did change that from the base game. I believe in the base game, he gets like negative public order. He gets like -2 public order or something like that. I believe that's what it is. I can't remember. I think Crooked Moon gets, you just straight up cannot hire orc units until you get 8 peaks. The dwarf is like 50% extra upkeep or something on units. It may not be that harsh, but it's something like that, where it's like a ton of extra upkeep on your units until you get it. And Queek, I think, had the easiest penalty, which was like some amount of public order. I think it was 2. It might have been -3. Okay, they defected. Now, I'm curious, does he actually take the item with him? He does. He does take the item. Now, I might get it back if we kill him. Dang it, I need to kill these guys, though.
Stop pushing it.
Man, we are flying up the chain here, though. See, we're at yellow right now, so we're losing 25 growth, so it's slowing down a little bit. Well, I guess we're killing him. Because, you know, the longer you leave him here, he just starts hiring stuff. And I don't know what he's going to get. Because I haven't ever had, like, any defections in the base game. The loyalty just didn't matter. You just always started, okay, you started, like, 4 loyalty. It doesn't, and you just run around and kill everything. And get a lot of loyalty, so it doesn't matter that much, but... Anyways, I think we need to kill him. Because if we don't, he's like a rebellion. He's just going to get stronger and stronger. I need to kill those dwarfs, though, too.
Queek fight it all.
It's interesting. If it's a single unit, sometimes they don't die. But if it's multiple units, then they almost always get wiped out.
Feel power of head taker. Run, fools!
Okay, so we did get our messenger back.
Soon. I challenge, kill, kill!
So I'm not trying to cheese this in power level, I
I
swear.
win. Nothing to do.
Like I said, I really want to keep him. It is slowing down my progress a little bit in the sense that I haven't killed those greenskins down there yet, and they are massing up.
More Queek.
But 13th scheme. Okay. How did I get that? Just killing a bunch of stuff. Clan Moors, which increases our armor pen upkeep for all units. That's actually, it's only 1313, so it's not that expensive. I want to wait until I see other Skaven, though, so we can start.
Tell Nordwell of Queek's victory.
Start working our way through that.
Wear no furs.
If we raid ourselves, it's -8 public order. I don't think we want to do that. Would give us food. We could raid these guys. Get a little more food if we wanted to. Gives us 5 food if we raid. I mean, am I gonna... How do they feel about me? A little better. How much do I want that food? I'm probably only gonna get like 50 gold off of raiding. It does take a long time to upgrade these buildings time-wise, though. Heck, by the time this finishes, we might be able to get to tier 4.
Clan victorious, thanks to me.
Oh, we can dash. Okay, so let's just dash in here. That's what I was... I don't know why I was blanking out on the dash. Okay, so that'll help with public order a little bit.
Scum away.
And then... I think we want to go for, after this, extremely distrustful. Now, it's even more like loss of loyalty for new recruits. You can see how this can be a problem later on in the game, where I cannot hire a new lord if Queek's not there to clean it up. It's a problem. And we just want to go for this, for the leadership, and then I think life is very cheap. The 10 extra armor is a big game for clan rats. Faction-wide, minus 10%, and 20% casual replenishment, and recruit ranks for clan rats. Yeah, sign me up. So yeah, he gets this stuff, which are like pretty good, like thematic stuff for Queek. You get extra leadership there. He personally can get frenzy, which is okay. Make examples gives him extra 5 leadership, minus 2 loyalty for Grey Seers, which are what we want to hire. Crimson Guard. This is really good later on. 4 ranks for Storm Vermin is huge. And minus 1 recruitment duration in all provinces for Storm Vermin. So that's really nice. Violent Rise to Power. Once we're trying to stabilize public order in different places, that can be really handy. Also, the 25% ambush, like we mentioned before, is really good. And enemy heroes can't spam crap on you because you get minus 20% enemy hero action success chance and 12% for your heroes to succeed. So very, very good campaign management stuff. This Taskmaster is pretty good too later on, just for the 12% movement range. Anytime you can get movement range, sign me up, basically. I'm down, because this map is so massive, and I like to actually finish the campaign sometime this century, so I'm all about it. Alright, we could upgrade this, but I don't really want to. I mean, I don't need anything from that. It's like, yeah, I could get a little bit more money, but I'm still doing alright money-wise. And I just don't want to invest in it, because someone could, like, these guys could come over here and kill it. We just don't know. So, if they take it and it's just a tier 1 town, it's like, who cares? Doesn't matter. Man, it feels good to be back into Skaven, dude. I don't know. I love Skaven. If you've never played Skaven, I highly recommend it. They're just... Oh, they're so fun. And the thing is, like, if you're a good Skaven player, it just feels so satisfying, too, because the AI is almost so bad with Skaven most of the time, because it's just really tricky to figure out. It can be, like, how to micro your units correctly, how to you know, like which units to buy, how you should sequence your stuff, like how to manage all of these different like systems. Now they get to cheat on a lot of the systems, right? They get a ton of extra public order, so the corruption doesn't matter, all that stuff. But and then there's so many people. I don't read a lot of the forums, but I've heard some complaints, you know, when I did read the forums sometimes trying to figure out, you know, what the new faction's going to be and stuff like that. So many people cry and complain, oh, Skaven are terrible, all their units are so weak. It's like, yeah, that's by design. You know, it's not just the sort of level 1 critical thinking, build big stuff and run at people. Like, you actually have to use tactics and think carefully about what you're doing. You can't just right-click, you know. Like some factions, if they just get these huge death stacks, you know, like a high elf army with like 10 dragons, you just right click and they're dead, you know. Okay. Extra recruitment rank for clan rats. Nice. I should have maybe waited to hire a bunch of them, but whatever. Oh, I should have tried to hire a Gracier. I forgot to try to hire the Gracier again next turn. Now, where is this dude?
More head skulls.
Okay, right there.
I refuse.
20? God, they're gonna have 35 units here. Yeah, so killing these Graciers has definitely slowed me down a lot. But I really want their magic.
Let the bells scream.
Why is it taking us down to negative 800?
This city nest now mine. Gracier.
How far can these guys run?
Jog off.
It's not telling me. I think I'm going to be able to retreat.
I, mighty warrior champion.
If I'm raiding them. I think I'll be able to retreat and they won't be able to chase me all the way down.
Off ship, raid. The council's voice.
Alright, so we have a couple more turns here. You know, it's totally possible I should be going for the money right now. It is 1,000 a turn. That does slow down my growth by 50. But I think I need to start getting the money. I want to go to tier 4 fast, but really I need the money like for the Plague Claw catapults. Maybe I should have switched back off of that. Because like I'm not going to be able to afford to get these things, but like getting to tier 4 is handy. But yeah, I mean 150 a turn is still pretty good, you know. And that will, like a rebellion will come out and we can kill the rebellions for money and stuff like that too. So let's see, part 2. Let's try to give him this again. Like I said, if you give them items or hire stuff with them, then sometimes they won't defect. Now I can come down, pick off the one guy that's hiring right now, and then back off of Mount Arachnos next turn if they want to trip out. Watch this. I mean, that's always famous words. I know this episode's going a bit long too, sorry about that, but I really, every episode I try to give you guys like a good manual fight, and we just haven't had one yet. Because every single lord is defecting, and we have to keep killing them. But if this guy actually lasts, we can step down there. Pick off the dude on the outside with an ambush. Okay, he's actually going to come at us. We're gonna retreat.
Not my fault.
Oh, okay. So he can actually chase us all the way down. Alright, well, here we go. We have a good chunk of food here. I think we can max the credit card on these just to make sure we get them. Yeah, let's not play around. Let's make sure that we can actually kill these guys. Now we do have some of the upgrades on them. We don't have all of our upgrades, but let's go ahead and do it. 11. Am I even going to be able to summon 11? I don't want to... Okay, here. Because that gives me still extra 5 leadership on everybody. So let's go to 10. So we keep the 5 leadership. Oh, that was giving us the extra recruitment capacity, and then we fell below the food. That's why we went from 3 to 2 earlier on. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so we just swarm them, you know, with the rats most of the time. The Skaven are so cool because they have really good, like, I think they have the best assortment, or certainly in the conversation for best assortment of, like, weapons teams, like artillery and weapons teams that are really, really good. You don't get a lot of them till tier 4, but as you can see, it's not going to take that long to get to tier 4, probably. We'll probably get there by, like, turn 12 or something, or we'll start the building, which is insanely... Like, just by comparison, for the dwarfs, a lot of the dwarfs to get to tier 4, it will take them, like, 70 turns. And they just have such low growth. But it would make sense, thematically, why Skaven would have high growth. Now this is a little tricky because we're not, it's going to be harder for us to surround.
I am right paw.
But we just get to free fire on them with our warp lightning cannon, which I think they've buffed this. It feels like it's better than it used to be. I still think that the play claw catapults are better, but question for me is, they have about as many units as we do. We just have this warp fire thrower. Do we try to just like shoot through this gap and surround? I think we need to do that. I think we need to surround. So we can have like these guys be sort of our business units here, and then we can just have the rest of these go for the surround.
Counselor's command. Our tail's yours.
Yeah, I don't think I want to play with this ravine. It's kind of like weird angled. Because this has a, this is a line of sight shot thing. So if they are like, if the line of sight is blocked, it's rough. They should, I think, be able to fire up there. Maybe I can go like right here and they would still be able to fire. Yeah, I should be able to hit some of them. Now, this, they fire faster, but they can hurt themselves.
Challenge me.
Now, I want to find their lord and try to fight him with Queek, if I can.
Ashen slingers. Anti-clan-rats. Scummy. Yes. Now, ready, now.
No sneak, move. Move.
March, sorry, yes. A warp lightning cannon. Nash, kill.
I'm gonna go ahead and fire. So we might hurt ourselves, but... They're definitely firing quick.
Fight! Attack!
Yeah, we need to kind of empty that clip there.
Slingers. Faster, scurry!
Queek head taker.
Ashen slingers. Clan rats. Council's command. Clan rats. Shriek! Shriek! And now, ready. Move! Clan rats! Queek head taker! Clan rats! Tails forward! Arms! March, scurry, yes! Whiskers forward! Darn vermin! Skaven! Yes! Horned rats will! Clan rats! Fight, attack! Bite! Now, move! Guide us, horned one! For the vermintide! Slace! Guide us, horned one! Die! Clan rats!
Where's their lord? Can't even tell.
Die! Now! Ready now! Yes! We obey! Clan rats! Ashen slingers! For the vermintide! The bite attacker! Move! Glory for me! Yes, good.
That gives them all a lot of extra melee attack whenever you crack that.
Yes! Creak, yes! That's the stab! Clan rats! A warp lightning cannon!
Actually, we can
For the
keep fighting on it.
vermintide! At once! This way, fool! Clan rats!
Lots of rats everywhere.
Attack! What orders? As master desires! Iron Clan Moors! For the vermintide! What orders? 13! Yes! Ready! Clan rats!
Oh, there's their lord. Okay.
Scamper scurry! Black slaves now!
Y'all about to get the sandwich here.
Rakichajas! Attack! Creak, yes! Rikarak! Clan rats! Skaven, yes! Them die! Ready! Attack! Press and hurry! Now, move! Our tail's yours! Slay, stabber! Fight!
What's up, little greenskins? Looks like you're having some problems there.
Then flee! We want
Tasty. We want to run down and kill as many of these guys as we possibly can.
What? Stab!
These guys are rallying back a little bit here.
Clan rats! Yes! Back underground! Burn them, yes! We can't take her! Clan rats! What? Skitter and leap! We obey! Prepare! They squirt here! Storm vermin! What? What orders? Fight them! Bow to Queek! Scouting, yes! Clan rats! Creature on a car! Fight! What? Screen Ricato crack!
The rats everywhere. My graphics card always loves it whenever I play Skaven. Blows up so many like units on the map at once. That is something to be aware of, is if you have a bit of a rougher computer, you might have a hard time with Skaven. People, you know, that was one complaint people were saying. Skaven, you know, with the base game, Skaven should have hundreds and hundreds of units. Like, they only have whatever it was in the base game. Like, on Ultra Graphics, they only have 90 models or something like that. 120 models. Well, they gave them 100... Friggin' 200 on Ultra, and it can be rough. I mean, especially if you have multiple Skaven armies. Like, if you have 2 20-stack Skaven armies with a lot of clan rats everywhere, like, it turns into a slideshow, like a siege. If you're against another army that has, like, 40 units and you have 40 units, especially if it was, like, Skaven on Skaven or something, you know, it's rough. So that's why it's not like they don't want to do that. They just want, like, ordinary people that don't have $20,000 computers to be able to, like, run it. Yeah, my computer was 20,000, but that's right. No, it wasn't. And I got this computer. I built it myself back in 2016 for like 2,000. It is pretty good, but yeah. I think what my wife is getting at is you should donate to help the channel to support the cost of, you know, all the equipment and all the time that I spend on the channel. If you would like to support the channel, I don't know if I made this plug earlier on, but you can donate for a campaign yourself. It's just $30 for 15 episodes. If you have something longer in mind or something special in mind, let me know, and we can make that happen. But yeah, just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. Set that up. Finally, we got our good fight here. Sorry, it's a longer episode, but I always try to get the good fight for you. Most episodes will be 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah, we're going for the food, definitely. Or the money, rather.
Yes, Mimi stronger.
Yeah, they done goofed up. We didn't even use all those summons. We didn't even have to use that food, but I think we only bought 2 or 3 of them. We got a lot naturally, because Queek gets +2, and we have a corrupted area. So we were getting like 7 or 8 minutes from below naturally. Alright, so hopefully we should be able to kill the rest of these guys, I think. Oh, we managed to keep a Gracier. Look at that. He's got 2 loyalty now. Now, he can still defect off of just 2 loyalty, but if we get him in some fights, I think he's a lot more likely to stick with us. But now we're starting to lose our growth rate here, because we're kind of letting the province go to hell with the public order. But we need the money, or we're just not gonna be able to hire anything. But anyways, we'll get back at that next time. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. Be sure to check out the rest of the content on the channel as well. We have a ton of other legendary campaigns, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.